Hello viewers, today I'm going to show you how to replace the fork oil on your motorcycle. I'm going to do this on a 2006 Kawasaki Concours, and it's a fairly simple job, a little dirty, but I'll show you how to do this yourself. There's a few things that you would have to remove. We're going to go ahead and open up these two bolts right here and lower triple clamp bolts that are right here. These are what's holding the fork in place, so we're going to remove those to slide the forks out, and at the same time we're going to have to remove the wheel. So I'm going to open this up, remove the rear wheel, take off the brake calipers and suspend them. I'm going to use a little string to suspend the brake calipers out of the way, and also we will have to remove the front fender. So let me go ahead and get started, and let's go ahead and start taking this all this stuff off. Okay, so first thing, to remove the brake calipers, we're going to open these 12mm bolts right here, and then I'm going to use this string to go ahead and hang the caliper off of some point, so that there's less strain on the brake lines. So let me go ahead and open these up and get these out of the way. With the brake calipers out of the way, I've got them tied to my handlebars. This would also be a good time to inspect your brake pads to see how much life they have left, and so you know when you need to replace them. Next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this speedometer cable, and then open up these pinch bolts for the steering axle, for the wheel axle, and take the axle out. Also, you will need to support the bike raised so that the front of the bike has been raised up a little, so it'll be easier to take the wheel off, and then we can start working on the forks. Okay, so the wheel of the bike is now off. You have to make sure that you keep track of this little spacer, and there's the speedometer unit right here, so don't lose this and don't forget where they came from. So now next thing is to take the fender off. To do that, there are these bolts right here, these bolts right here. There are two on each side, so I'm going to open these up and take the fender off. One thing that you would want to do before you slide your forks out is measure this distance right here, so that you know how far these stick out once you put them back in. Measure both the sides and make sure they're both same. Also, you would also want to see how much of a preload you have, so you got to measure these lines right here. So as you can see, mine is on the third, so I'm going to measure that. Then you're going to open these preload, so take all the preload out and then loosen this bolt right here while the fork is in the bike, so that you don't have to hold it. So while the fork is tight on the bike, I'm going to go ahead and unload all the preload and then loosen this bolt out. Don't remove it all the way. It's got a little spring in there, but you're gonna at least want to loosen it so that you can take it out once it's off the bike. Or you could even take it off, nothing's gonna come out, but this is under a spring tension, so you have to be careful while you're loosening it up. With the fender off, basically now all we have to do is open up these bolts right here, and two bolts under here, and the forks will slide out. I'm going to go ahead and put a little marker on each fork for left and right, just to remember. It's really hard to mess them up, but I just still like to put a marker on. So I removed the cap off of the fork, and this is it goes right here, and inside on top there is this little spacer, so don't lose this. So we're going to keep this, and with this cover right here. So we're going to be careful when we put it back, because these threads can be spoiled easily. So we're going to keep all of this stuff together and work on the other fork. So I'm going to leave this spring in here until I take the forks out of the bike and then drain the oil and remove the springs and check the internals. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the other side now. So I've got both the forks out of the bike, and now I'm just going to go ahead and drain all the oil from each fork. I've got the marker right and left, and we're all set to drain the oil and then refill. And there's the bike right there. So here what I have is I have both the forks draining, and these are the two springs that came out of the forks. And as you can see, the springs are wound differently. They're tighter wound in the top and less wound in the bottom. So that's how they came out of the bike, and that's how they're going to go back in. And I'm going to let the forks drain overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to come back and refill them with new oil and put them back in. The oil levels were very different in each fork, and that's why I was getting some wobbling on the bike. So I'm sure once I refill them with new oil, I'll have resolved that problem. So that's how you drain the oil, and then tomorrow we're going to come back and refill them with new oil. I've already cleaned up the forks. All the oil has been drained out, so now all I have to do is put some new oil. I'm using 15 weight fork oil. You can use whatever oil you like. And for my particular bike, the oil level has to be 6.34 inches from the top, from right here into the tube, 6.34 inches with the forks compressed and no springs in there. So I've got my screwdriver right here with the markers, how I'm going to measure the oil level, and that's going to be different for your bike, so you want to check your manual and adjust the height of oil in there accordingly. So I'm going to put in the oil, and then I'm ready to go ahead and put the forks back into the bike. Okay, so at this point I have my forks already in there. You might not have to remove your handlebars. I've got mine removed because I have Healy bars on here, and I've got them out of the way. But you probably would not need to do that. So I've got my springs in the forks as well, and now I'm ready to put the caps on. I guess the most difficult part of doing this, changing the oil on your forks, is putting these caps back on, because you're going to have some tension, and you have to be careful not to spoil the threads. So I'm going to go ahead and put those back on. So the fork caps are now on the bike. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the preloads and set them to what they were before I took them off, and just reassemble the bike in reverse steps as you took everything off, and you're all done. Thanks for watching.